And we're back. The famous saying, and we are back. Alright, no, seriously. So this video is going to be all about communication. What does communication mean to you, really? Does it mean language, speaking, body language? What does it mean? You tell me. Perspective. Only in your eyes. So I'm making this video because my mother told me to. So there's been some challenging times between my mom and dad where they don't really speak on terms of communication. And in a relationship, we all know that communication is very much needed. And it's almost 100% overlooked, to where you can't express your feelings to one another unless you fight. Introing into my mother's reasoning, my mom and dad usually just literally fight like twice a month. Uncontrollable yelling. And to be honest, all they're yelling about is how they feel. If communication was there in the first place, there wouldn't be any yelling and fighting and, all this built up energy that needs to be released. Communication, fellas, is much needed in relationships and in life. Sometimes there are situations where there's no words that can fit into your emotion. And I firsthand do have experience with this, where I'm in a situation and a predicament evolves and I don't have the words for it. I don't know how to express it. But that's where you change your perspective and really absorb what's going on and how you can deal with it and communicate through words. Emotion almost always attaches to communication. When something happens and you cry and just sadness overwhelms your mind, there is no words for that expression. It's just sadness. And there's no words until the emotion is gone. There's always words for aggression and anger. There's always words for comedy and amusement. But that is the one emotion where it's just tough to get past in your own head. But communication can always come into play after you grieve whatever the situation is and the emotion is gone. That's where you change your perspective and figure out what caused the situation to happen. It is a little cliche to say that you have to think before you speak, but put it in perspective here. How many things do you say a day that you think about? How many people do you interact with and communicate with that you don't think really upon the situation when it happens? Do you really think about what you're saying to the person? Did you think about the conversation before it happened? That's another thing in life. People are spontaneous, and things in life happen spontaneously where you don't know who you're going to come into contact with. So you always have to kind of be prepared for a certain kind of conversation and communication. Whereas me working at GNC, the confrontation's always, I don't want to say this word, but it kind of fits the predicament here. Fake, alright? Fake is the word I wanted to use. Now, when I'm coming in contact with somebody, you almost portray yourself as a genuine person, especially if it's someone that you don't know. And this kind of fake communication is, I think, overrated in the sense where we can't have specific conversation and deep conversation with people. You kind of have to put a wall up and just be fake about it. And communication has come a long way, but we focus on two mainstream forms of communication, whereas we're all protecting ourselves from maybe harm that can come from the confrontation. And these are all different perspectives that we have to think about, because I am talking about it. Don't be afraid to speak out of a mainstream level, meaning slang words, stuff like famous rappers, or famous people, idols, models, whatever, how they're speaking doesn't mean that we have to communicate that way. Just be original, no matter what. Speak to someone and communicate to them, even if you don't know them, like they're gonna go home and think about it. Like they're gonna go home and think about what you said in a way that touched them, maybe spiritually or mentally. Just be original with your communication. Don't be afraid to be yourself, even if it's someone you don't know, because those types of things leave marks on people in a good way, because it opens them up to a different perspective on how they should talk to somebody. Think of how communication has evolved. I'm gonna bring you back to high school. Remember those books you used to read? Shakespeare, stuff like that? Remember you had a really tough time reading their language and how they spoke? I think that is the most interesting thing about our communication, the English language. It has come so far to where we can't even speak that way anymore, to where we can say stuff like, say, I fronted Shane. That could mean anything. There's so many different slang meanings. You could say I'm good and I'm good could mean I'm good physically. I'm good, no, I don't want that. I'm good, I don't want to fight, I'm good. You see what I'm saying? So there could be, the English language has come so far from Shakespeare books. Just think about that perspective. It's pretty crazy and wild to think that the human brain can just absorb these different meanings of common words. So communication isn't always words. Social cues are a big, big communication factor. How you carry yourself, how you look at something, how you look at somebody, your body language. It's kind of how you carry yourself. Even just by the way you make your image look is communication. Are you trying to make a statement by the way you dress? There's so many variables that can come into play here, and we just have to put them into perspective and really realize there's so much expression out there. Music is communication. So many expressions. It's hard to wrap your mind around, but how often do you think about it? Don't be afraid to show someone who you are by not even speaking to them. Image. Most of the time, it's not the image on the outside that you're selling. I know you scroll down your Instagram feeds and you see all these people trying to portray who they are through their image, but it's almost 80% of the time that's not who they are. And speaking on myself personally, my image is not who I am. Yeah, I work out a lot, but I'm not a tool. Yeah, I have nice things, but I'm not rich. Yeah, I act like I have everything put together, but I don't. These are important. Everything that you are is important. So just be yourself on the inside and the outside. So when you're scrolling through YouTube and you click on a video, it's not always the case that who they are on camera is who they are behind the camera when it's not on record. And I'm telling you now, I am here to change that, because this is me. Like, this is who I am. I like to be intellectual. I like to work out. This is who I am. Like, think about it. Speak your mind and your feelings. So, in the end, there is understanding. Without you opening up, there's no way someone else can understand where you're coming from, or why there's hurt, why you're happy. There's no understanding then. It's not easy, and I'm not saying what I'm doing is easy, but I'm saying it takes practice. And by me doing this every video, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at opening up and speaking my mind and putting words that are on my heart in the air. It takes practice. But on that sense, communication is challenging in of itself. You can't just pick up a new language today and speak it fluently tomorrow. That's how the mind works. That's how your emotions work. You can't just be good at it. You could be really good dodging all your feelings and all your emotions, and you could be good at dodging all your negative thoughts, but they're still going to be there. You have to practice on coping with things. You have to practice on speaking. To avoid all of the fights, to avoid all of the petty issues that revolve around relationships, is simplified through communication. It's as easy as that. You can't communicate the same way you do to me than the guy that's down the street that you don't know. Two people have their own ways of channeling their communication. And that's most important. Is figuring out a way to express to everyone. So a good way to practice. After you watch this, I want you to try and communicate whatever you can to the people that you love and love you. That's your little homework assignment. S.O.P style. But guys, keep an open mind. Change perspectives. And just keep spreading the love. I'll see you guys in the next one.